You're listening to Bedroom Beethovens, where notable music makers break down stories accompanied by songs and melodies documenting growth through their 10,000-hour journey. And me? Well, my name is Cello, your host.
I am a bedroom Beethoven.
An incredible destination surrounded by the Pacific Ocean on all sides. Travel with me to its southern tip, to Victoria, British Columbia's capital, where I catch up with Moka Only and its boat-lined inner harbor, neo-Baroque parliament buildings, Grand Fairmount Empress hotels, and English-style gardens. Vancouver Island is the ocean, and the ocean inspires our everyday.
Straight out of Moka Only's sloppy beat archives, here's another Nowfo classic smash.
My guest this week is...
My name is Moka Only. I am a beat maker, first and foremost, MC Deluxe, and I'm just glad to be here. As far as people I've collaborated with, where to begin? Where to begin? Let's just converse and see where it goes.
Yeah, I keep watch. I keep an eye watch. It's on my mind, it's on my prize. Nah, I'm a rock, cause it's hard to get my feelings away besides rhymes. Mind wander unattended, seeking to find some new angle on some sunshine. But when it don't, like 3 in the morning, situate the horn in the mix. I'm all in the fix of my dope. My music addiction is seen through my scope. And lately, so much more to keep score. Handling administrative minutes is tedious. It's all mine, must mind my grind.
Moka Only is an iconic artist in hip-hop based out of Vancouver who has collaborated with Doom and Dilla, and his new album It Can Do is available now, which offers musically fragmented repetition that conjures an airy, wide-open freedom not often heard in contemporary rap. Moka's beats just become more gorgeous as time marches on, and I hope you all enjoy the conversation. So to everyone listening and all my virtual fans joining from who knows where, before we begin, bedroombeethovens.com is the website, and there you can buy a shirt, rep the show, visit the social media channels, and even write into the show, get a hold of me. Got a new theme song for the podcast? Send it on over. Become a Patreon, and I'll play your music on the show. So many different avenues to get involved by supporting me. I thank everyone that's done so by now, and let's all settle in and get cozy. Moka Only is here. Let's start the show. Low-hanging fruit is Torch. All right, then there's Mocha 1.
Oh, that's the earliest, yeah.
Dr. Do Much.
Mm-hmm.
Kareem Serene.
Yes.
And The Durable Mammal.
Uh-huh. Okay, yep. Those are a few of them for sure.
And before we converse, you said you did an interview earlier this week. Now, the people can't see you, but lately I've noticed you've been wearing the ascot and the pocket handkerchief and the whole ensemble. You've been looking quite dashing, sir. So let me ask you, did you dress up for this occasion?
No, I did not.
I'm not. See, I'm insulted because if Ron Couture was here, he would be wearing the finest scarf and a James Bond coat and some fly Corinthian leather boots. He would have been prepared.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Ron would have been prepared, most definitely. Well, you know what? I'm not looking half bad, man. I'm just wearing an Oxford button-down shirt, some jeans, and some Allen Edmonds shoes. You know, I mean, that ain't too bad.
That's not too bad, man.
And speaking of ascots, now, I actually don't have any ascots, but I would definitely get into that. I like that.
Well, I appreciate you being here because honestly, the value of coming onto these kind of platforms is to push your music. But I mean, if I go to your Instagram, it's private. If I go to your Twitter, it's private. If I go to your Bandcamp, all the music is sold out. You know, you've been in the game for 20 years. What's another interview, right?
Well, they're all important. This is my only chance for me to actually get to tell people about myself. So I put a lot of emphasis on these things. I really appreciate the platform because in music, you know, the message can get lost, and especially since my music is, you know, half fantasy and half real life. People don't know what's up. As far as the private platforms online, I like that. I do that intentionally to create sort of an air of exclusivity. You know what I'm saying? So people feel like they're joining something that they really want to. You know, you got to send a request for that, and if I get around to letting you in, then cool, you're in the club. I don't mean that to sound boastful or anything like that, but it's just my particular tactic. It seems to work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will tell me, well, I don't have anything to promote, so I'm not going to do the show. But I just like conversations, man. And thanks to the Torchlight Commission, introductions were made, and here you are.
Perfect.
And while I'm on the subject, Jeff Speck is nasty on the beats. I've been listening to him a lot lately.
Oh yeah, we go way back.
He should be 100 times more famous than he is.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of us that I could say the same thing for, but you know, time will tell, right? You just keep working hard and enjoy the journey in the meantime.
Well, you're credited with popularizing the art of freestyling in Victoria. Was it because not many people were doing it and you were introducing it in an organized manner, or Victoria's talent pool just wasn't up to snuff until you and Kay Prevail came along?
Well, the truth is when I met Prevail, you know, I felt like I really felt a special kinship with him. You know, he's a couple years younger than me, and I almost took on the role of being like an older brother to him. So we would kick our raps that we had. This is in like the first week of meeting or whatever. And I remember one particular time we were just walking in Langford. We were walking through Langford actually. And we just running down all the raps that we had written that we could remember, you know, getting excited. And then we ran out of raps, but we just kept going. Say, oh, well, let's just go freestyle off the top of the head. Now, we thought that everybody freestyled. We thought, you know, this is 1991 or whatever, or 1990, I don't know, one of those years. And we just thought everybody freestyled. So we just did it, and we found we had a skill at it. We were able to bounce off each other. It wasn't until a while later that we found out that wasn't the case. Not everybody freestyled. So I don't think I can take any credit for popularizing it in any way. I think that just happened culturally through hip hop over time.
But I mean, man, we're talking 1991. If we're going back in the day, I mean, you're playing the trumpet. I bet you're taking lessons and you're fantasizing about being a jazz great. You're probably freestyling is probably not even on the mind. And you know, I can probably picture you and Noah Becker. Y'all are running around New York jazz clubs with your trumpet and saxophones in an alternate timeline.
Can I tell you a little story about that? That's funny you mention it. This is good. Right around that time, I knew about Noah Becker because I listened to this jazz show on CFUV in Victoria. I was very familiar with Noah Becker. In fact, I was, you know, I kind of, what's the word? I looked up to him. You know, I was kind of like starstruck. I actually won a contest to go have dinner and see him play at I think it was Ferris's Oyster Bar in Victoria. It was real cool watching the show. My homeboy, Juice Dub, aka Rennie Foster, was there as well, and he actually knew Noah and introduced me, and I felt starstruck or whatever. So it's funny that years later, me and Noah ended up, you know, having a real rapport and relationship, and I've worked with him several times. But back in those days, also, we were heavily jazz influenced for sure. So with the freestyling, the one thing I would say is we did look at it almost like that was a form of jazz, you know? We look back to vocal jazz artists who had popularized the scat end of the art form and try to emulate that. And oddly enough, you know, a year or two later, hearing Freestyle Fellowship, we were blown away because there's other guys that were doing the same thing, but, you know, really pushing the limit far beyond what we were.
Now, I noticed you mentioned Juice Dub, and what's Juice Dub, T-Double, and Degree? What's Sound Advice up to nowadays? Are they still in music, or are they, you know, CEOs of software companies? Or like, I haven't kept up with them, so what are they up to?
Well, first and foremost, for those who don't know, Sound Advice was the premier rap group in Victoria. First got together in 1988. I was inducted in 1989, and it was a MC first degree, DJ T double, MC Juice Dub, and then MC yours truly, MC me. What was I calling myself back then? The ORB, the original rhythmic brainchild. So that's where I got my start, even before Split Sphere, meeting Prevail and whatnot. And we had a great time. I left the group to work with Prev around late '91, and it was a little funky at the time, just because I put in all this work with Sound Advice. They weren't too pleased, but I think they understood that when there's a vibe, you just go with it. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But that's where I got my start. And Juice Dub, Rennie, I mean, he was like a walking B-boy Bible. He knew everything. He turned me on to so many different artists and things that I was unaware about. And he's also one of those guys who's gifted in to where almost anything he ever tried and applied himself, he was excellent at. So he was a great DJ, great rapper, great graffiti artist, breakdancer, skateboarder. See, I met him through skateboarding. That's where I first met him. And me and him, like, we were the only skateboarders that actually did raps that I knew of. This is, 1987-ish or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's that.
Well, no matter how they feel about you leaving the group at the time, no one can take away that you guys were the first rap group in Canada.
Well, in Victoria, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's you guys were early, and we mentioned jazz. We touched a little bit on rap. You always wanted to be a jazz artist, but you didn't feel like you had the skills. Why did you feel like you had the self-confidence to go out and rap? Like, if Madlib did Kinda Blue, why didn't you flip Manchild by Herbie Hancock or something?
No, it's funny you mentioned that. That's one of my, I think that is my favorite Herbie Hancock album. That's pretty wild. Oh, wow. Well, it's never too late, is it? And it is fully my intention to eventually rechristen myself as a jazz artist. It's always been in the back of my mind, and I take little steps toward that. I guess at the time, though, I wasn't good at any particular instrument, and hip hop seemed more approachable in its approach. Like culturally and skill wise, it just seemed to click more organically. I knew I had a better chance at that. And sometimes when you're at that age, when you're young, that's what you kind of do, take the easier route sometimes. And you may be just caught up in the moment of excitement, and you just go with whatever is working for you.
Yeah, because I noticed with the, similar to She Ran Away to Mexico to Join the Circus, despite tragic world events, you were feeling more ambitious than ever. And here we are in another tragic world event almost 20 years later, and you dropped It Can Do. So dropping them both so close together, it kind of feels like a time capsule, young Mocha, current Mocha, and there's just turmoil in the world. And here you are dropping like these really fire projects.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that when I released the She Ran Away to Mexico to Join the Circus, that was recently. Sorry, when I recorded it, that was such a crazy time. It was a new elevation of my career and what was going on, as well as just about everybody else I knew was experiencing successes, and there was this optimism happening, like you said, despite the tragic world events of that time. But in the music industry, and I would say in the arts in general, it was an exciting time. This was before the internet became what it is now. And boy, oh boy, I really felt that was the tip of the iceberg, and it was going to be setting off just the most incredible decade ever. And in some ways, sure, it has, maybe from a technological standpoint, and but in other ways, I kind of feel like it's numbed the world.
Yeah, I can see that. But here's a more dose of optimism, because amidst COVID-19, The music economy where you're at is thriving. Vancouver's oldest independent record shop, Neptune Records, so far it's safe from the hands of destruction that is the pandemic. Red Cat and Zulu have all survived, so that's very amazing to hear.
Yeah, but rest in peace to Dandelion Records, which was Dandelion Emporium. That was my favorite out of all of them. And you heard about the fire they had. It burned down a few weeks ago.
News from Vancouver's Mount Pleasant neighborhood, where a fire has closed the area around Main and Broadway. This is the scene just north of that intersection where crews are trying to stop the spread of smoke and flames.
I mean, me and Potato Head people were in Dandelion at all the time. We've got all these photographs in there. I went shopping with Diamond D at Dandelion Emporium. I have some great memories, and almost all my favorite records were purchased through there.
Mount Pleasant businesses.
I just feel like, after 20 years of hard work, gone just like that.
I do want to learn more about the area. So, why is Vancouver Island called the Long Mile?
It was just back in the day before any of us, drove cars or whatever with the bus system the way it was back then. It was just a long ass mile to walk anywhere. I don't know where that name came from. Maybe in the back of my head I thought it was cool because it reminded me of Long Island in New York, where people like Rakim and De La Soul and EPMD were from. So that might have been part of it too. It's just something that came up. I don't know if I came up with that name or if Prevail came up with that name or my boy Ishkan, but one of us did it and it stuck. There's some kids that still use that name to this day. I got to shout out my man Ryan Johnson from Victoria, because he actually just started this year a company called Long Mile Lifestyle, and he's putting together and selling, lifestyle products that are inspired by the same things that I am, and kind of mixing in a bit of the love of outdoors into his mercantile.
Yeah, I love that slang stuck around. And
Yeah.
is the noon horn still a thing in that area?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Huh. Wow.
Noon horn's big in my world, man. I mean, I still hear that. If the wind is blowing in the right direction, I'll hear it for sure.
Well, there's something else. There was a magazine called Elements that reported on hip hop in that area. You remember that?
Hell yeah.
I'm going through it, and there's a picture of you with someone named Michelle Geister from Much Music's Rap City.
Uh-huh.
And they were listing how MCA Concerts was bringing the biggest hip hop concert to Vancouver at the time. Headliner was Lou Diamonds. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Chef Raekwon, who now goes by Raekwon the Chef, of course. Call of the Wild with Mad Lion, Supercast, and Cypress Hill. And KOS won Canadian Rap Video of the Year for his single Musical Essence.
Oh yeah, I remember that song. That's right.
You left Canada and moved to San Diego, but you only lasted there a year before you traveled back to where you were. And I heard you say that California had a lot to do with your career, that you weren't immediately embraced in Vancouver. But I've also heard you say that moving out to LA didn't do shit for your career in terms of getting bigger like one would imagine.
Huh. Well, let's first address the San Diego thing. I mean, I knew it would be a temporary thing, but it wasn't merely just a year. Throughout the whole decade of the 90s, I would go back and forth and back and forth. And as far as Los Angeles, I got a place there in the early 2000s, and it was a lot of the same, back and forth. But I grew to realize that I didn't think it was really doing anything extra that was necessary. You know what I mean?
I only bring that up. I brought up Elements magazine, and I bring that up. I'm trying to tie it all together, because in that same magazine, they said that Madchild was inducted into the West Coast chapter of the Rocksteady crew as an MC by battling veteran member Cut Father at the Rainbow Cafe in San Diego to earn his way in. And I was thinking, wow, maybe Mocha read that and was like, man, I need to head out that way too.
No, we were already there. That happened after me and Prevail had done a good portion of our tenure in Southern California.
Yeah, from the top, I don't think they know. But as if you didn't know by now, L Brothers Swollen members, buck 50, teach a
And
beat fam.
it also happened after we had met up with Mad Child.
Swinging the axe, bringing the pain while I'm bringing the facts. Keep climbing cause I'm working while these others relax. Ripping tracks with Cut Father, don't bother half stepping. Mad Child and buck 50, that's 3 deadly weapons repping the West. Staple of maple leaf to my chest. That's 16 bars between stars and stripes.
Okay. I'm asking all these questions. Do you know where I'm located? I'm in Austin, Texas, and
Well, I love Austin, Texas too. I've had some great times there.
why is that significant? Because it's named after Stephen F. Austin, who was a Freemason. And I was wondering if there was, because the prerequisite is you have to be male and you need to believe in God. I didn't know if there was other prerequisites to be a Freemason.
Well, you have to be of sound mind, and yeah, basically be of sound mind, your own free will and accord, and of 21 years of age, and a belief in a higher power.
So what degree are you?
Well, Freemasonry is only 3 degrees. There is other side groups that are a part of Freemasonry, such as Scottish Rite, which go up to 32 degrees. And I am a member of that, so I have my 32 degrees in that. There is a 33rd degree in the Scottish Rite, but it's more of like a medal. It's like an honorary sort of position after you spend a lot of years within that portion of the craft. But once again, that's not really Freemasonry. It was a group that was created after, because back in the day when it was very popular to have all these fraternities, guys wanted to always create side groups and, be able to wear extra medals and pins and sashes and all that stuff. It was just something that was very big in North American culture at the time. And, I'm glad Freemasonry survived, but a lot of the other groups disappeared by the wayside. But yeah, I am a 3rd degree Master Mason, and as well as a 32nd degree Scottish Rite.
Yeah, I don't mean to offend you. Like, my knowledge of Freemasons is just the Nicolas Cage movie National Treasure, and
that's a pretty good movie. It's there's a little bit of fantasy mixed in for sure, but I was happy when I saw that movie that they at least took a chance and threw some accurate stuff in there.
Well, but nobody's stealing the Declaration of Independence.
No, nobody.
That's the part that's probably not good.
Yeah, but I like talking about Freemasonry. It's an interesting and long storied subject. It gives men, both young and old, and from any background, a little bit of extra structure and maybe a sense of belonging to something that's bigger than them, that has this rich history, and the idea that a man could join a group like this and, as aforementioned, be from any background or religion and find a group that you get along with everybody and you're there for one common goal, and that is harmony, essentially. It's a beautiful thing. You don't see that in other institutions of culture that much these days, even in hip hop music. Now, one of my quotes I've always liked to say is that Freemasonry is like hip hop minus the music and the bullshit.
I'm surprised that you even join these institutions in these groups, because I know a lot of times you rather be solo.
Yeah.
Or you're a very solitary person.
And I did that intentionally, not just because of my curiosity of Freemasonry, but I also joined because I thought it would be healthy to be in an environment where I had to be more of a team player. I thought that I could benefit from that, and perhaps I could add something that others would benefit from.
Well, I don't want you to have any regrets. Like, if when Jay Dilla invited you out to Detroit and you said no, if you knew his life was on a shorter timeline, would you have flown out there, or nothing would have changed?
I think just in the right circumstances, I probably would have gone out there. It was just where I was at. I was balancing and juggling a whole lot of different things, and I know that he was too. And it was just one of those spur of the minute decisions, I thought maybe it might complicate things, so I just took what I felt was the easier route.
Yeah, I think that it all ties in. I heard that quote: "You are your own universe. You are your own choices." I'm just like you, man. I got a mic in front of me, like I'm at Simon Fraser University. I don't hold a candle to your skills, but I'm trying.
Ah, man.
I mean, yeah, I followed all that the Killer C and the crispy biscuit and all that.
Yeah.
I know they did a reunion. They did a reunion podcast like 5-6 years ago.
Well, funny you mentioned that because I actually took over the show from Incredible Ease because he was battling a sickness at the time, which he unfortunately did pass away from. But I took over his position at the show. Like the show was relaunched, and I stuck around for a year or two, and then it became a little bit too difficult to balance with touring and all that sort of stuff.
It's tough. I don't think a lot of people like really talk about those mic jams at the old high school basketball court. You had freaking Evidence and the rest of the Dilated Peoples out there. You guys would throw barbecues.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of AC Alone came through one time. Man, that was something. It was this high school called Tecumseh High School, and I don't remember whose idea it was to throw jams, but we just went for it. A whole group of us, known as the Q Continuum. That was kind of like this overall umbrella name for the crew, and man, we had so much fun. We really did it the old school way. We plugged in, like sneaked in the plug in a neighbor's backyard and powered up turntables and amplifier and speakers, microphone, and just had these all day jams. The police would come by, but they never shut us down. They did nab a couple people once in a while, but
but that stuff is folklore now, though. No one talks about it, but it's so important to hip hop.
Yeah, it is. I mean, nobody talks about it here either. Really, it's I'm actually surprised you knew about that, but that's super cool.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit more about your solidarity when it comes to music. It's kind of your way or no way, and that's your prerogative. That's your privilege. However, usually you develop that attitude because one song or one album came out and you had mixed feelings about it, and then you make a promise to yourself like that.
Yeah.
Or has that been the hard rule since day one?
I think it's been the hard rule since day one without me addressing it prior to experiencing some trepidation in the industry later on. I don't make these hard and fast rules consciously. It's really just whatever works, like Larry David.
Yeah, but I imagine you know what kind of music you want to make with the people you want to make it with on the labels you want to release it on. But
okay, yeah. So and in that regard, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't. Art is very sacred. So just because I know somebody and am friends with somebody, that doesn't mean we have to do a project together. The vibe has to be right, or the artist has to be right for a particular song, and these things have to happen organically, man. I have to take a stubborn approach to that because I believe in the art. I just don't want to put out just any old thing, you know what I mean? Even when I'm hired to do features for other people, I have to weed through a lot of flotsam and jetsam, so to speak, before I can be like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. And I want to give my very best performance at all time. I don't care if the person who hired me didn't have a lot of money and the beat's not that great, you know what I mean? I still want to give my 100. But if I'm not feeling it, I'm not doing it.
So is it weird rapping in front of malls with Nelly Furtado, and the next thing you know, she's on the Swollen Members song? Do you think she would have done the song with y'all if she knew the group meant the Fat Dicks? The Fat Dicks with Nelly Furtado?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we came up, like, she was part of the crew back in the day. So she's in on the same type of humor, you know what I mean? I mean, she had an image to uphold, obviously. But yeah, she understood. She got it. Yeah, back in the day, we always should congregate in front of this mall and basically rap for spare change on the street and just rap to rap, sharpen up the skills.
Like here, like I'll give you a question that maybe some people might shy away from. Nelly Furtado is doing folk songs like "I'm Like a Bird," and then you see her transform, maybe cash out the mainstream. Who knows? Working with Timbaland and Justin Timberlake, dancing sexy in the club. Was that genuine, or was that her just playing the game? The management games that you refuse to play.
Yeah, I would say it's genuine. Knowing her, I really do feel it was genuine. And she liked that particular vibe. She enjoyed that, more danceable type of stuff. When she was doing the "I'm Like a Bird" type of thing, I mean, that was really her pure, uncut. That was her version of hip hop. Believe it or not, everything she ever did was her take on hip hop because she grew up culturally within hip hop, but she just applied a different artistic technique to whatever she did, you know. As far as doing the stuff with Timberland, I mean, I was really happy for her that she did that. I don't think I enjoyed that as much as the earlier stuff though.
Well, interesting enough, the Loose album sold 12 million records, got her a star on the Canada Walk of Fame. Her last release in 2017, first week, only sold 1,900 copies.
Wow.
So I can see how one might get tired of the record industry. In fact, you had a theory. You said the only difference between a top 40 hit and a song that nobody has heard is money, marketing money behind it.
Yeah. That's part of it.
So how do we go from 12 million records to 1,900? I mean, I could see how people might get tired of the record industry.
Well, it's that same old thing, man. That there's a combination of things. First of all, does the label still believe in you to actually make a big push? Second of all, are you in the mainstream? Are you playing the game? Are you keeping current? You know, that's definitely an element there. Sorry, I lost what I had a third thing, but it's totally away. I started thinking
you've ran a label before, so how hard was it?
It sucks. It sucks. Some people like it, I'm sure. I think there's a lot of individuals who love that challenge, but I also ran the label with a partner who was doing, even though he was probably doing more of the administrative work than I was, and I still found the situation to be difficult. It's just I would rather do it the traditional route and take a chance on working with people that I feel believe in the product. That's why I like working with Urbnet Records out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. They let me do whatever I want, man, and at any particular time. In fact, she ran away to Mexico to join the circus. That was a last minute idea. 1 week I said, hey, D, I want to put out this thing. This is something, it's a time capsule. Let's do a time capsule series. And this could be the first release. This one's from 2001 in October. He's like, well, cool. When do you want to put it out? It's like next week. He made it happen. So that's the beauty about working with an independent label who understands your vision. You know, they may not have all the backing capital to push you into the stratosphere, but I would rather be happy knowing that I can do whatever I want to do and you know, still have my fans be able to tune in and get something out of it.
The record that the casual cats, not the torturoos, the casual cats pay attention to is the Desired Effect, because that's the mainstream release. It has Bad Lib's brother on there. It has Dilla, Doom. But you hated the process. You hated the managements. Frank Zappa talked about conceptual continuity. And if I'm having fun with your discography, it seems to break on that album. If you listen to that album, you can kind of hear your personal turmoil throughout that whole album. It kind of makes me sad.
Yeah, I agree. Just going back to the Torturoons, there's some of them that enjoy that album. I just have a hard time with it.
No cream, no sugar, Moka Only.
I think it was the atmosphere and climate of the industry around that time, mid-2000s, where I was just feeling really disillusioned with being a player in that game. There were some things I really liked about the album, but overall, between the label and the management, I couldn't tell who was pushing me to do what and for what reason. And then all of a sudden, I woke up one day and realized, oh, well, this really is big business. You know what I mean? I have to concede to whatever they want. So that's what I did. They had me change a whole bunch of the songs and remix some things by some people I didn't know at the time. I think overall, listening back, it's a fairly solid album, but, yeah, that and Lime Green, there's definitely some things about it that, I definitely could have done better. And I have a hard time listening to those albums.
Well, you know how, the Justice League came out and it wasn't the director's vision, and now he's coming out with the Snyder Cut, which is like
Really?
the version that he had. Or
Okay.
Ridley Scott's done that with Kingdom of Heaven. They released a theatrical version. He hated it, so he released a director's cut that was like 2 hours longer.
Same thing happened with Paul McCartney with the Beatles. You know, years later he re-released "Let It Be" minus the Phil Spector treatment.
Yeah, so you know, maybe we're not closing the door on that album to hear it the way it was intended.
Yeah, well, originally I think that was supposed to be an album. I had an album I wanted to do called Ambrosia, and I think that's kind of what Desired Effect ended up being. I just changed the title, and you know, my whole idea was I wanted this really musically fruitful album and a lot of different textures and stuff. And you know, they tried to push me in a pop direction. You know, I complied as much as I could, but I definitely fought the process.
I think if you were going to go in a more pop direction, did that Tegan and Sarah collaboration, are we inching closer after all these years?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. To tell you the truth, I think as far as doing something commercially viable that I've talked about with the guys, it would probably be doing a singing album with Potato Head people. Well, I mean, Tegan and Sarah live here too. I mean, I know people that know Tegan and Sarah. I just, you know, I just can't see it happening. But if it did happen, cool. You know.
What about your work with Booty Brown? Whatever happened to the Goulinaires?
Still doing it. We are taking the slow and sweet approach. We do it when we feel like it. If a released album never comes out of it, that's fine too, because we're just enjoying the process. You know, I've been working with those guys since I don't even remember the first time. You know, I first time I performed with them was back in the 90s at some point when it was still all 4 members. But anyway, yeah, as far as Brown, that's my dude, man. And you know, shouts to Imani too, and their manager Smooch Cat, Greg. But we'll just keep doing what we do, and if and when it comes out, I hope people dig it. We got a lot. We probably have like 2 or 3 albums worth of material done already.
Oh, that's good to hear, man. So you're at a good place now, musically and personally. You sound good.
I could Tupac this stuff if I wanted to. I could stop now. I could stop recording now and still have enough to put out records for the next 20 years if I really wanted to. But I don't know what the hell else I would do.
Hey, go back to the bingo hall, slang some coffee.
Yeah, no.
So this new project, it can do.
Yeah.
Plug time, man. You have the floor, because I can't describe the project better than you. So you have the floor to tell the people about it.
Okay, the It Can Do album. This came out this past June 2020, or was it May? No, it was May 2020. But I had actually finished the album in April 2019. I wanted to put it out right then and there, but because I'm really particular with getting albums out seasonally, like if I'm working on something in the early spring, I want to get it out during spring so people can feel that same vibe that I was feeling while I was working on it. I can't seem to convey the importance of that enough. To me, it's important. To other people, it probably sounds like nonsense or whatever. So we ran out of time to do a proper release in 2019 spring. So I told the label, let's just hold on to it for a year and we'll put it out for the next spring. Like, you know, set it up properly so it gets out there, make sure it's pressed on vinyl and all that. Shouts to Fat Beats, by the way, for working the vinyl end of things for us.
How does this work though? So you have the luxury of doing that because you just said that you could Tupac it. There were talks of you retiring a few years ago, but is it really retiring if you just, hey, you know what? I really am going to retire, but every year for the next 20 years, I'm just going to release one of these albums on my hard drive that I'm sitting on.
Yeah, well, I feel like I already have retired. I kind of feel like I have. I feel like I'm on my pension now, and that's, you know, putting out these albums. Some new, some old, you know what I mean? But the game as I know it has changed for me. I just, you know, I love the music, but everything else, I guess I kind of feel like MF Doom. You know, if I had to relate myself to another hip hop character, I kind of feel like Doom did. Like Doom just wants to live his life, do his own thing. He doesn't want all the extra superfluous stuff. You know, he's living back in England now where he was born, and he's just living his life. And the music is like a hobby for him, but it pays his bills still. So it's kind of like he's retired too, in some sense of the word. You know what I mean? I wish I could say like, yeah, I have the luxury retire. I got all this money and stuff. I don't, man. I mean, I still struggle time to time. This is difficult. You know, I hate to be the guy that says, you know, I don't have my due propers, but I really feel like I have it. But I would hate to use my musical platform or any other platform to complain about that, because it just looks like being a sore loser. You know what I'm saying? You know, I still hope for the best, but you know, I'm not holding my breath.
If the love of the music goes away, well, not the music itself, but maybe the industry part and the business side, and you're toying around with the idea of retiring, you're sitting on 20 albums. Are we talking about, you know, Mocha the wino, Mocha the cobbler? What else can you do in life? Because a lot of people who have been in the game for 30 years, they say they're only in the game for 30 years because they don't know how to do anything else.
Mocha the cobbler. I could definitely see myself becoming a cobbler for real. It's something I'm very, very interested in, passionate in, is traditional shoemaking and shoes. So I very well could become a cobbler if I so chose. You know what I mean? I do a bit of voiceover work as well. So I'm not going to mention the company, but because I just don't feel like putting that on a pedestal. They've got enough pedestal already. I do some stuff on the low. You know what I mean? I just don't attach my name to it, but it's for a major, probably the biggest company for entertainment in North America.
Oh, Mocha's in a Pixar film. You're voiceovering the next Pixar film.
Bigger.
You're in a Star Wars film.
Okay, it's Netflix, but we're just going to leave it at that.
Well, the door is always open for you to come by. This platform for music, shoemaking, whatever you want, man, the door is always open. And you mentioned Doom. For me, you and Doom, food rap and it goes together, because carrot and eggs is a favorite of mine. I like the ever since you spat Big Mac and cheese, you'll be on your knees with the E. coli disease. It's a match made in heaven. So,
oh God, I don't know how you found that one, boy. That was a song I did back in, I think,
bro, I'm a fan.
1994. 94. I know, but you could be, man, you could be the biggest fan of something, but like, that's some wow. Okay. That's funny. That's the only thing I remember from that song, is that particular
Me too.
portion, because it was a parody on Craig Mack, Flavor in Your Ear.
Yeah, 1,000 Degrees. Yeah.
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 Big Mac, 1,000 degrees. You'll be on your knees with the E. coli disease. And I don't remember the rest of it. Something about kicking my Adidas in your ear or something like that.
Well, man, it wasn't an hour and a half, man, but I hope you had fun.
I have fun, man. I'm sad that it's drawing to a close. I could keep going all night, man. Hell yeah, man. I'm really happy to do this for sure. I would love to take you up on doing a part 2. I feel like we kind of just barely scratched the surface.
I hope you have a merry Martian Xmas, and I hope 2021 treats you better in every way, man. I appreciate you for swinging by, and I hope I can call you my friend, man.
Oh yeah, gladly. We friends. This is all good. I want to drop a quick plug just for the people that is listening. I do have a project that just came out. It's called She Ran Away to Mexico to Join the Circus, and it's the first in a series I'm doing called Time Capsule Series. So it actually is an old recorded album from October 2001. In October 2001, I was working on 5 albums in that particular month. So, I mean, that goes to show you that definitely is more coming out. But I strongly urge y'all to check that out. It's available on all streaming platforms, as well as iTunes, Bandcamp, YouTube, all that sort of stuff. She ran away to Mexico to join the circus on UrbNet Records. And right now, I am just trying to wrap up 2020's Martian Christmas, which I've dropped the Christmas from the name. It's just the Martian. It'll be Martian 2020. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully that'll be out the first week of December.
I really appreciate you walking down memory lane. I mean, we're talking about like the high school days in front of the mall, rapping and all that. So I hope I didn't unearth too many, the Band-Aid rips. I hope everything is pleasant.
No, I love it all, man. I mean, everything that you brought up was, pertinent to becoming who I am today. And I'm like, I mean, really, who the hell am I really? I'm an obscure artist, but still, at least musically, all those elements are what made me. That's the fabric of my existence.
Yeah, thank you, my friend, for being here, giving up your time, and like I said, let's keep in touch and keep the ball rolling.
You bet. Hey, man, you can reach out to me anytime. If you ever just feel like chat, or like you said, you want a new friend, you got it.